Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Public Works for today, Monday, June 24th, 2019.
Commissioner Garcia, Cabello, James, and Caloza are present. President James, welcome back, and we do have a quorum.
Thank you.
May we start with Bureau introductions, please, starting with Bureau of Street Services.
Elvin Galindo for Bureau of Street Services.
Rowena Lau, LA Sanitation.
Robert Nielsen, Bureau of Engineering, Survey Division.
Good morning, Janet Kwan, Bureau of Street Lighting.
Good morning, Brett McReynolds, Bureau of Contract Administration.
Good morning, Ted Jordan, Public Works General Counsel.
Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. President James, we did receive one speaker card under general public comment. We also received a speaker card on items number 1, 8, 11, and there is also an email that was submitted on item number 3 that will be distributed to all commissioners.
Okay, and that's on the item that one of the items that's being continued. So just a couple of housekeeping items. Well, first of all, let's go ahead and approve the meeting minutes from the meeting of Wednesday, May 15th, 2019, seconded by Commissioner Cabello. Any objection? Without objection, we will approve those meeting minutes. Agenda item number 3, there's been various requests from various locations and folks to continue the item for an additional 3 weeks, I believe. Is that the time that we have, Dr. Campos?
That is correct, 3 weeks.
Okay, so that's going to be Monday, July 12th. For various reasons, we'll continue agenda item number 3 to Monday, July 12th. Also, so we won't be taking public comment on agenda item.
I believe it's July 15th. Let me just double check my calendar. I may have written the wrong date for you. Monday, July 15th.
Okay.
3 weeks.
So let me check that. So it's going to be Monday, July 15th.
That is correct, yes.
3 weeks from today. So no public comment on the item. We're just going to continue the item outright to Monday, July 15th, 2019. Also, Supplemental 1, Agenda Item Supplemental 1 on pipeline franchise agreements. There's also been a request to continue that item. This one's to Friday, July 12th. Not 3 weeks, just a little bit less than 3 weeks from today, but that one is on July 12th, which is a Friday. So number 3 for July 15th, number Supplemental 1 to July 12th. And Dr. Campos, that's all the continuances that we had this morning, correct?
Those are the only 2, yes.
Okay. Then we have a very special presentation today, given that it is LGBTQ Pride Month, and we will start. I'm going to do this. Commissioner Cabello and I will lead the presentation this morning, and we will start with our Vice President, Commissioner Cecilia Cabello. I'm going to go with you.
Good morning, buenos dias. Today, it's my privilege to continue the Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, Transgender, and Queer Heritage Month celebration by recognizing the achievements of a few outstanding employees from the Department of Public Works. Each year in June, we honor the 1969 Stonewall Uprising in New York, a demonstration that blazed the trail for activists across the country. And this year marks the 50th anniversary of that historic event that sparked the gay rights movement in the nation. What most don't know is that Los Angeles formed the backdrop of some early LGBTQ protests that took place before Stonewall. 2.5 years prior, the Black Cat Tavern in Silver Lake became the site of what was, at the time, the largest documented LGBTQ civil rights demonstration in the nation. And it represents one of the first instances when gay and lesbian activists bravely organized and stood up for their rights. Throughout the years, Los Angeles has played a significant role in the LGBTQ civil rights movement, from hosting the first gay pride parade on the West Coast in 1970 to becoming the first major U.S. city with a transgender advisory council created in 2016 by Mayor Garcetti. Today, the city is home to the second largest LGBTQ population in the country. While tremendous progress has been made, our civil and human rights are currently under attack. Now more than ever, we need to come together to break barriers and fight for equality for all. For the LGBTQ community, the struggle continues as we fight for a future without discrimination, a future where everyone accepts that it doesn't matter who you love, just that you love, and a future where we can all celebrate the diversity that makes the city stronger. As we commemorate LA's legacy of championing equality, the board is honored to recognize a few of our LGBTQ employees for their invaluable contribution to our great city. So today, I ask that all Angelinos take part in celebrating these honorees with us who are excelling in their careers while encouraging inclusiveness in the workplace and beyond. So with that, I'd like to invite President James to introduce our first honoree.
Thank you, Commissioner Cabello. We will start with Gay Chapman from the Bureau of Contract Administration. The Bureau of Contract Administration's Gay Chapman is a change maker inside and outside of the office who demonstrates a strong sense of commitment towards bettering the LGBTQ community. Outside of the office, she is a hardworking businesswoman and community advocate. Earlier this year, Gay and her business partner acquired the After Ellen media site, making it exclusively lesbian-owned and operated. AfterEllen.com is considered the leading media publication dedicated to providing entertainment, lifestyle, and pop culture news to the lesbian community. While balancing her work life and business endeavors, Gay makes it a priority to set aside time to serve as a mentor to young and detransitioning lesbians. In her current role as Senior Electrical Inspector, Gay serves as Lead Project Inspector for the LA Wastewater Integrated Network Systems, the LA WINS project, involving multiple wastewater facilities. She is an ICC-certified California Electrical Inspector and former president of the International Association of Electrical Inspectors, Southern California chapter. Gay is seen as a true professional in the field and a dedicated team member who is always ready to provide guidance to other inspectors. I'm honored to present Gay with this recognition for her exemplary work and efforts to advance LGBTQ representation inside the city and outside the city, as well as in the media. And Gay, to read the recognition from the Board of Public Works, Gay Chapman, Senior Electrical Inspector, Bureau of Contract Administration. On behalf of the City of Los Angeles, the Board of Public Works is pleased to recognize your professional endeavors and accomplishments, which have been of great benefit to the entire Department of Public Works. We also thank you for your contributions and efforts to raise awareness of dignity, human and civil rights, improve the attitudes of society, and encourage inclusiveness in the workplace and beyond. Happy LGBTQ Pride Month from the Board of Public Works. Thank you, Gay.
I'd like to thank each member of the Board of Public Works, my coworkers, and management at the Bureau of Contract Administration, starting with the Director, Reamer. Thanks for doing this, and thanks for making the City of Los Angeles such a great place to work. 50 years ago this month, the gay liberation movement history was made when a woman, a black butch lesbian, refused to get in the paddy wagon. Her name was Stormé de la Verre. And there was at least one other lesbian. Her name was Marilyn Fowler. The following year, it was lesbians who led the first Christopher Street Liberation Day March. Every year since those historic moments, lesbians have to fight for what is ours. We have to fight to be honored in our own movement. And I hope that we can have more representation for lesbians in the future, that we can have our place at the table and not take the crumbs from the organizations that represent us. And thanks so much for everything. Thank you very much. I really appreciate this honor. It's a great place to work for the City of Los Angeles.
Thank you, Gay. Don't go anywhere. Commissioner Cabello?
Can I please have Doug Walters from Los Angeles Sanitation and Environment join me? LA Sanitation and Environment's Doug Walters is a sustainability and environmental leader and an LGBTQ advocate. previously serving as co-chair of the city's Gay and Lesbian United Employees Organization, also known as GLUE, which I love. Doug spent 4 years advocating for inclusionary policies for LGBTQ employees within city departments. Doug is a mentor who actively works with local universities and organizations for the recruitment and retention of the best and brightest engineers to ensure the city remains on track to becoming a world leader on environmental issues. Currently serving as Chief Sustainability Officer and Chief Resiliency Officer, Doug has racked up a long list of professional accolades. To name a few, he implemented the rapid conversion of ocean discharge of the city's biosolids to a 100% beneficial reuse program. He designed the city's first composting facility in Griffith Park. Sorry, I live in Echo Park, so I'm so used to saying that. Implemented Proposition O to improve water quality in our rivers, lakes, and beaches, and was recently tasked to help make the upcoming Olympic and Paralympic Games the first zero-waste games. Doug's colleagues admire his ability to stand up and give an impromptu speech and presentation at any given moment, a skill I do not have, and his willingness to take on any and every new challenge that's thrown his way. Earlier this month, he completed a 7-day journey as part of the AIDS life cycle, riding his bicycle 545 miles from San Francisco to LA and raising almost $20,000 to support those living with HIV/AIDS to have a longer and healthier and stronger life. This recognition honors Doug's exemplary work and contributions to the movement for LGBTQ equality. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Cecilia, and all the commissioners and members. I'm so honored to have so many wonderful people in my life, in my career here with me. My mom, Catherine, my best friend, Toshi, all the way from Tokyo is here. A lot of former coworkers, all these best and brightest that we recruit. There's one sitting right here, representing sanitation today, Rowena Lau. Just a great place to work. 30 years goes by really fast. So I encourage people to be open-minded. You never know what person is a little bit concerned about being open about their sexual orientation. And a lot of changes happen in 30 years. Sanitation used to be on the 14th floor, one floor, and now look at us, right? So to the degree that you can just come with an open heart, you never know how you're going to impact one individual's person and their ability to contribute to this warm and wonderful city. So thank you to Lauren, everybody. Thanks.
President James.
Les Samare from Streets LA. Les, good to see you, sir. Well known as a true team player among his colleagues, Les from Streets LA is someone who exemplifies the culture of service, efficiency, and hard work. Les is currently an accounting clerk supporting the Street Pavement Preservation Program and Sidewalk Construction Program. Les, as you know, two of the most popular programs in the city of Los Angeles when you talk to constituents. So your work affects their lives every single day. Les coordinates with suppliers, truckers, and vendors to ensure the timely and efficient delivery of materials essential to paving more than 2,200 lane miles and constructing 500,000 square feet of sidewalks annually. Aside from his love for customer service, Les is passionate about genealogy research and meditation. Today's recognition is a testament to Les's dedication to Streets LA and for his courage in living his most authentic life. And Les, I do want to read your certificate from the Board of Public Works on behalf of the City of Los Angeles. The Board of Public Works is pleased to recognize your professional endeavors and accomplishments, which have been of great benefit to the entire department. We also thank you for your contributions and efforts to raise awareness of dignity, human and civil rights, improve the attitudes of society, and encourage inclusiveness in the workplace and beyond. Happy LGBTQ Pride Month, Les.
I want to thank the board very much for this honor, and I want to say how much I appreciate living in a city that recognizes sexual minorities and working for an agency that allows me to express myself in a way that's very fulfilling and very enriching for all. Thank you very much.
So I know our entire Board of Public Works is incredibly impressed with the extraordinary range of LGBTQ experiences that were shared today. Thank you to all of our honorees for your service to the city, to the LGBT community, and to Public Works. From maintaining our streets and sewers, fixing potholes, installing streetlights, to building bridges and collecting trash, we appreciate your hard work and dedication to enhancing the quality of life for people across the city of Los Angeles. Each of you plays a significant role in creating a workplace environment where diversity is not just something that is talked about, but rather is practiced through the representation from senior level employees who identify as gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, and queer. I would like to take the opportunity of presenter's privilege this morning for a few additional comments and an announcement that's important to us. This Friday, June 28th, 2019, marks the 50th anniversary of the date that the Stonewall riots began in New York City. Those riots actually lasted for 6 days. Marsha P. Johnson, a well-known gay liberation activist, that was the term used then, the gay liberation activist at the time, and a self-described drag queen, along with those leaders from the lesbian community that Gay referenced this morning, have been credited in history as a key figure in starting the riots. And they did so to gain media attention, to create awareness to the persecution of the LGBTQ community by police departments all around the country. While there were uprisings before Stonewall, and Commissioner Cabello, of course, references what has been done in the leadership in the city of Los Angeles beyond what happened in New York, Stonewall has such significance, historic significance, because actually in Stonewall, thousands of people participated in the Stonewall 6-day riots, thus making it the historic beginning of the gay liberation movement in the eyes of much of the country, and importantly, in the eyes of the media. Only 12 years later, just 12 years, even in the same month of June, our Pride Month, in June of 1981, the first cases were discovered in New York, San Francisco, and Los Angeles of what would soon become the modern plague of AIDS, which within a few years would kill millions of people around the world and literally wipe out an entire generation of gay men. It would take more than 15 years for the government and medicine to create a treatment that would sustain life for HIV-positive people. Protease inhibitors were first introduced in 1996. I was on the board of AIDS Project Los Angeles at that time and was able to watch one of the nation's top 2 AIDS service organizations transition from an agency that helped many of its clients manage their affairs at the end of their lives to helping clients return to life, recover their health, recover their independence, and even return to the workforce. It was an incredible time in our community's history to witness and to be a part of. In 1994, when AIDS was still a death sentence, I had the honor of attending the 25th anniversary of the Stonewall riots in New York City. And I can't believe that 25 more years have passed since then. I know that many of our days can be long, but the years really fly by. Maybe even more for those of us who were fortunate enough to survive the AIDS epidemic of the 80s and the 90s. I heard on the news this morning about a new poll that is out, it was on KNX, demonstrating the unbelievable progress that has been made by our community. According to the poll, 84% of Americans believe our relationships should be recognized. 84%. And well over 50% nationwide support same-sex marriage. Not something that could be said even 10 years ago. Our work is not over, though. We still need to support the Equality Act that is making its way through Congress at this time. When I moved to LA in the 80s, I came here, quite frankly, to come out, to find a community that would accept me for who I was. LA is an amazing city, and I'm thankful every day that I've been able to make LA my home. Our city is one of the most diverse cities in the world, and that is why people move here from all over the world. And the City of Los Angeles and the Department of Public Works has the most diverse workforce anywhere. We have more representatives in our ranks than the city's population, meaning that if you have 18% Asian Americans in the API community, we have a higher percentage of that in the Department of Public Works. Same in the African American community. We have work to do, though, in other areas. We are still working on gender equality in many areas, and we are still working on improving contracting opportunities. Those of you that visit this board regularly know that we do that every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning publicly, and do so privately every day of the week. And that is why I'm incredibly excited to be able to announce that we will be adding, I have to switch pages, the LGBTQ certification to the Business Assistance Virtual Network, a free online portal that connects businesses with city contracting opportunities. This is an LGBTQ certification for contracting in the city of Los Angeles. The National Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce is the exclusive third-party certification body that will work to verify that eligible businesses are majority owned by LGBTQ individuals. This will allow us to track certification statistically to ensure that our contracts reflect the diversity of the city. Our Bureau of Contract Administration verifies documentation and oversees these contracts. This is yet another shining example of why the City of Los Angeles is recognized as a national leader in advancing LGBTQ rights. And I have a few thank yous that I want to mention this morning in getting this work done. First of all, a thank you to our Vice President of the Board of Public Works, Cecilia Cabello, for her partnership in everything that we do in the LGBTQ community. Cece, you are one of us. You know that. You hear it all the time. Cece actually sits on the board of Equality California. And LGBTQ issues are always at the front of her mind. And her drive got us to, in her term, her brief term here on this board, to complete this certification. I also want to thank former Vice President of the Board of Public Works, Heather Repenning. Heather also, in her term on the Board of Public Works, helped us to push to this point that we could get to an LGBTQ certification for contracting in the city of Los Angeles. John Reamer, I don't know if I saw you here today or not, but John, I want to thank you for your work in advancing the LGBTQ certification, and Hannah Choi for your work as well. And there are a couple of outside people and forces that I want to thank too. Marquita Thomas is the executive director of the Los Angeles Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce, and I sat down with Marquita and had breakfast with her some months ago, and she walked me through ways that we could find an avenue to get to this LGBTQ certification. With Commissioner Cabello, I was in Sacramento at the EQCA legislative session in March, and there was a session where LGBTQ certification, I think it was the PUC, the Public Utilities Commission, that has an LGBTQ certification, and we were able to connect with them and have conversation with them about ways to create our own LGBTQ certification and to monitor it along the way, that helped us find the National Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce to be the third-party certification body. So, as with so many other things that happen in public works and in city bureaucracy and in city contracting, it really does, it takes a village, it takes collaboration, it takes relationships, and it takes partnerships. And with that, I want to thank all of my colleagues on the Board of Public Works for the work that has happened in getting us to this point. I recognize that this announcement today is the beginning of what will be the process of getting to this final point of LGBTQ certification that works across the board. But I know that we are one of the few large cities in the United States. We're one of the leaders, probably in the first 5, to get to an official LGBTQ certification. And not to be too competitive or to, and I think I'm accurate about this if I recall from the folks that I've talked to, but it was important to us, and if competition and challenge helps get you there, then it's worthy of getting to the LGBT certification even before the city of West Hollywood if you can do it. And so I'm very proud of the work that our team has done, and we will certainly challenge any other city across the country to meet our match in what we've done here in the city. So thank you all for your patience in allowing me to indulge in some additional time on this. But I thought it was a very important announcement, and an announcement that should be given in the light of the honorees that we presented today from our bureaus at Public Works. And with that, Commissioner Davis, I'll start with you, and we'll make our way back to our seats, and then we'll take a group photo. Thank you.
Great. First, I'd like to commend President Kevin James for his leadership, particularly today, to make sure that we make not only America what it ought to be, but make Los Angeles what it ought to be. As a student of history, of public policy, and one of diversity, when we think about civil rights in this country, we think about no discrimination without regard to race, creed, color, sex, sexual orientation, national origin. And so in that, what I think is probably one of America's most dynamic laws, comes the olive branch to help make sure that all American citizens are included in. And part of why I love the work that I do, particularly on the Board of Public Works, is that through helping to work with the Bureau of Contract Administration, we work as it relates to economic opportunities on minority business inclusion. And so today, I commend Kevin James, our president, for revealing this comprehensive recommendation and also proposal that will help us to expand on better assessing inclusion. That includes LGBTQ businesses as well, and we are not the first to do it. And so when I reflect back upon the work that we do here in the Board of Public Works, we are the 3rd largest department in the entire city, but we have people of all different cultures involved in doing the work for the great city of Los Angeles. So today, I am very pleased, proud, and I commend each and every one of those of you who have been recognized today, and know that Los Angeles is a better place because of the leadership that we have from the LGBTQ community, and that has been the case even in the civil rights movement. When we think about the organizing of that, we all know that it was a member of the LGBTQ community who was significantly involved in the architect of organizing the March on Washington when America was focused on the need for civil rights in this country. So finally, again, I thank Cecilia Cabello, who has time and again been involved in Equality California, providing leadership, and I thank most of all our President Kevin James. He is an outstanding leader, bar none, of the various cultures in this city, providing outstanding leadership for the city's Public Works Commission, and that's period. So again, congratulations everyone, and we look forward to working with you.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. Commissioner Garcia?
Thank you, President James. I'm going to be a little quick. I just want to say, born and raised in the city of LA, I always grew up around diversity. So I never saw anything different, anything of anything. I grew up here in downtown LA as a kid. So I was surrounded by every culture, everything you can think of. So to me, the LGBT community has always been part of my community as well. Where I grew up, we had LGBT members, we had different cultures, different race, and it was just fine. We all grew up in a community, and we all helped each other out, no matter who you were, what you did, and who you loved. It didn't matter. So I've never had any type of prejudice or discrimination around any type of subcommittee, but they learn and know everything that the LGBT community has gone through has been very eye-opening to knowing the struggles. Here in LA, we have been very blessed, those that lived and born here, to live that way all of our lives. And I'm very proud that I have lived that way all my life, but I'm glad that a lot of folks come this way to live their authentic life, like Aldez said. So I just want to say thank you to that, and thank you to the leaders, Kevin James and Vice President Commissioner Cabello. Sorry, you guys were gone for like a week. 2 weeks you were gone, jeez. Thank you for their leadership on putting this certification. It is a lot of, we have a very large community in the LGBTQ community that owns businesses and run their own businesses. And I am very happy to be able to be part, to also acknowledge that community into our certification process here in the city. So I'm happy for that. And thank you to both of our leaders here. But I also want to say a special thank you to Gay, Doug, and Les. Gay, thank you for being such a good transition mentor to young girls. Oh, you're back there. Thank you. Thank you for doing that. Those girls are going, go through a hard time just by being teenagers already themselves. So thank you for always being a strong hand to them out there in the community. I'm sure they appreciate it, and those that you can always mentor them to also come and work here with us too as they grow up and go into college. So thank you for your service on that, Gay. Doug, I want to say you are very passionate on sustainability. I've seen you work, I've talked to you, and you do such a great job. And today I just learned that you also recruit in the colleges. How great is that, that folks can see someone and reflect someone like themselves and know that there's a future, a very bright future in the city for them as well. So thank you for doing that out there. And Les, I want to say that I was really impressed by you saying that you like working here, or let me rephrase that, you love working here. You love working, but mostly it's because you get to live your authentic life. And that is one of the best things that we can do for ourselves. So congratulations. I congratulate everybody here for being today part of this LGBTQ celebration. And I am very proud to be part of the city, but also be proud as a colleague of all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Garcia. Commissioner Caloza.
Thank you, President James. First, I'd like to thank your leadership, Vice President Cabello's leadership, for making today happen. I'm not sure whether or not we've ever had an LGBTQ presentation at board before, but this was, so wonderful to give this space, opportunity, and time to recognize, 3 remarkable individuals, Les, Gay, Doug, and also to see how much support you have in the room. Everyone is here for you and to support you in your work. It's amazing to see that the city has changed so much in, like you said, the past decade, and that we have created this space for people not just to exist, but to really live, contribute, and work. And that's an amazing place to do, in terms of contributing to the city. It's also wonderful to hear about the announcement with the LGBTQ metrics. I really feel so proud today to be part of the city, to see how much we continue to push the envelope and how we're leading the work. And also want to thank all the general managers, also again for really encouraging your staff and your team to provide this open and welcoming space. So thank you for all your work and for your service, and we're also proud of you.
Thank you, Commissioner Caloza. And sorry, I'm going to have to take 2 presenter privileges today. But I work hard at it. Sometimes I'll earn it. I'll argue that I earn it. A couple of things. I want to add 2 things, really, maybe 3. The LGBT certification to us, it's a really big deal. And it was a lot of work over a number of years. And there is somebody else that I see this morning that I neglected to add in my first list of thank yous, sitting in the VIP section, as she often does, Linda McGlinchey. Because, anything that we do with BCA on certification, Linda's going to be a big part of. Linda, thank you for your teamwork and your effort on this as well. And I know that as Los Angeles leads on so many things, once we start showing data and metrics on this, other cities will start to follow. And this will get picked up in the gay press, and it's something that gay business leaders have been asking for a long time. And just a quick word for each of the nominees from me, and maybe I don't know, we're still in the same setting, but less formal than the setting of presenting certificates. Les, thank you for your leadership at Street Services at Streets LA. Your visibility there is important for the whole department, and we really appreciate it. Gay, frankly, I had no idea that we have the after Ellen leadership in the Department of Public Works. For those of you who might not be familiar, let me just tell you, take my word for it, that is a powerful element in our community, really across the country. And to have that leadership in the Department of Public Works is very significant. So thank you for your leadership and the work that you and your partner are doing on that. And Doug, let me just say, you and I have known each other for years, before we were ever in these roles, certainly before I was in this role. And I'm thrilled to see your recognition today. And I know your mother knows this, but your son and the work that he does for our community and for similarly situated people in our community is recognized and appreciated by those that know him, but impactful on many that don't and that have never even met him. But that work, and he's tenacious, and he is committed. And there are, and maybe, Doug, just because we're, I don't know, similar situated gay men, we have conversations that, off the record, that a lot of people don't know ever happen. And I'm saying that today because I know firsthand how committed you are to the betterment of LGBTQ people in the city of Los Angeles. So thank you for that. And with that, we will take just a minute for a photograph with our honorees and with our general managers that are there. And thank you to the representatives from the mayor's office that are here too. We're glad you're here today. Thank you. Okay, thank you, everyone, and welcome back. Our agenda this morning, let me find it. Agenda item, let's go ahead and take care of Commissioner Garcia. Policy, this is agenda item number 6. Policy number 781, amendment number 1, replacement of co-chair to the Board of Public Works Ad Hoc Blue Ribbon Business Advisory Committee, recommending that the board appoint Commissioner Garcia to replace former Commissioner Repenning as co-chair of the Ad Hoc Business Advisory Committee. Commissioner Davis remains as second co-chair. On number 6, Mr. Sachs, you have a card in on number 6.
Yes, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
For the record, Arnold Sachs, and nice to see you back, Mr. James. Hope you're well and healthy.
Thank you, sir.
Another blue ribbon oversight, another blue ribbon committee. You're running out of blue ribbons, or maybe you should buy stock in blue ribbons. At least it's not an oversight committee. You know there's a quiz about oversight committees. Maybe you should have an accountability committee, or better yet, a red flag committee. But if you have an accountability committee, then you can have an accountability oversight committee. The quiz is, what do oversight committees do? They miss meetings. It's an oversight.
Thank you, Mr. Sachs. Any questions on, Dr. Campos, are you presenting on that?
I am, just really quickly.
Just an update on, it's pretty self-explanatory, but.
It is. The item before you is just to replace the co-chair, former Commissioner Repenning, with the current Commissioner Garcia. This is in response to a blue ribbon committee that was created by this Board of Public Works to look at our contracting opportunities. That was adopted back on October 28, 2016. Since then, this committee reported back to this board about 6 months ago with the recommendations of, or a total of 8 recommendations on how to improve contracting here with the City of Los Angeles. So this is just an administrative item to replace the co-chair and allow us to have our next quarterly meeting with this group.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Cabello.
Thank you, President James. I would just like to give my full support to this motion by moving it.
Well, I would give my full support by seconding it. It is one of those, it's one of those positions, and I say this to Commissioner Garcia sometimes, there are these positions within our board that are particularly well suited for you and you for they. And this is one of those. So I'll second it. Any objection? Without objection, that'll be the order on agenda item number 6. Congratulations and thank you, Commissioner Davis, your new partner on the Business Advisory Ad Hoc Committee. And I would only add that this committee has done very important work that has been very public and has been very well not only attended but received with people not only inside City Hall but many people outside of City Hall as well. So we look forward to your work on that, Commissioner Garcia. So without objection, that'll be the order. Any issue sending number 6 forthwith? We will send number 6 forthwith. Agenda item number 1, policy on Contractor Special Recognition Program, recommending that the board implement the Contractor Special Recognition Program as discussed in the report as board policy. Mr. Sachs, you have a card in on number 1.
Thank you again. Again, for the record, Arnold Sachs. Since you have a recognition policy, do you have a policy that recognizes, for example, poor workmanship? I'm thinking, I read a story a couple of days ago or maybe a week ago about they decommissioned the nuclear power plant in Washington, the state of Washington, and they're having problems getting rid of all the contamination. There's barrels of contamination. It's sitting right by a watershed, a river. I know it's by a watershed. But my real problem is that the engineering firm that was in charge of creating that report, AECOM, does 3 tons of work for the city, for the metro, and county. Does anybody ever take that into account, that some corporations are doing crap work around the country and then they're getting bids and coming to work in the city of Los Angeles? It seems to me that that would raise red flags aha, red flag committee, that somebody would say, you know what? Maybe we ought to look into this a little bit further. If one of those barrels of beer should happen to fall into that river, that whole watershed, because it's radioactive material, will be contaminated. And the engineering firm will be walking out the door with all their money that they earn overpricing their engineering report, and the public will have to pay again. Damn.
Thank you, Mr. Sachs. Ms. McGlinchey on number 1. Good morning.
Good morning. Linda McGlinchey, Bureau of Contract Administration. It's our pleasure to come today to recommend a contractor special recognition program for our construction contracts. We have been looking into this for some time in developing this program. We've shared it with our partners in the other bureaus. What we noticed is, you know, at the end of a construction contract, we do a CPER, a contractor performance evaluation, which does take into account negative things, but we didn't have anything for those contractors that go above and beyond. And that's what this report is for. It's to recognize contractors that have done more than just the minimum required. We are assigning points to them at acceptance based on their compliance with prevailing wage, project labor agreements, their quality in terms of notices of non-compliance, or in this case, we've also accounted for if they were to have a notice of non-compliance due to a safety violation, we're taking points away from them in terms of looking at a special recognition. We also look at an unsatisfactory CPER rating, contract performance evaluation rating, which would also result in negative points to ensure that we're not recognizing a company that has had issues on a job. But we're also looking at their opportunity in terms of diversity and business inclusion. And so based on all of those factors, we are giving contractors points anywhere from a bronze, and they can earn anywhere from a bronze, silver, gold, or for PLA projects because of their size, a platinum rating. And that is our recommendation to you today. One other thing we did is, prior to coming to you with this, we did share this thought and process with our contracting community. We sent out a survey to all of the contractors that had won a contract with us in the past fiscal year, shared it with them, asked them for their comments, if they had concerns. The responses we received were that they felt that this was doable. Contractors like competition too, and they thought it was doable. There was a slight concern in terms of the notices of non-compliance, and for that reason, our recommendation includes a opportunity for them to ask for reconsideration with the Inspector of Public Works in terms of potential subjectiveness of a notice of non-compliance. Do you have any questions?
Any questions at all? Commissioner Davis?
Yes, and so in terms of this program, if in fact they've had some violations, they would not be eligible to be recognized for their achievement in these other areas. Is that the issue?
For like a notice of non-compliance for safety, correct. It would be almost impossible for them to get a recognition.
Okay, and so they understood that part of the program. Was that correct?
Yes.
And in many ways, this is a way to, what word am I looking for? Well, to explain the recognition process and program so that everybody's on the same page, and they can, and when someone gets this recognition, you can point to areas where they've excelled and why they've gotten the recognition. So there's some objectivity to the subjectivity.
Absolutely. The criteria is all objective. The only part where there was a little bit of subjectivity is in terms of the quality, where we state that no notice of noncompliance issued would result in points awarded. A notice of noncompliance issued that isn't safety related would result in 0 points. And so there was just a little concern that perhaps an inspector on one project may issue a notice of noncompliance, whereas on another project for the exact same thing, another inspector may not. That could be a little subjective. Therefore, that's why we incorporated that opportunity for the contractor to present evidence to the Inspector of Public Works to override that in terms of our points allotted to a contractor.
Okay. Commissioner Davis?
I wanted to say that I think that this is a step in the right direction in terms of us having positive impact on changing and developing a positive peer culture among our prime contractors in terms of achieving inclusion and also to increase and be more effective in performance on some of those things that we expect. So, Mr. President, I support this because I do in fact believe that this is moving our prime contractor community in the right direction to increase performance.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Davis. I'll second your motion. Commissioner Caloza, though, has a question or points.
Thank you, President James. Not necessarily a question, but more of maybe a comment for maybe BCA to work on after you see how this recognition program goes. But I think, I think it's great. It's a great program to recognize, our large prime contractors. I think there may be some limitations, though, for maybe some of the smaller contractors that we may have in terms of the number of points that they can get because of the large size of the projects listed out here, right? So some of the contractors can only, the highest they would be able to get would be like a bronze or a silver, right?
For our smaller contracts, the highest that they would be able to get potentially would be, could be a bronze or silver. Most of our contracts, though, simply by dollar value, they'd more likely be at silver or gold.
Okay. And maybe it's something we can see, depending on how this program goes, to maybe see how we can also give a positive recognition to some of our smaller subcontractors so that, eventually down the line they can be a larger prime contractor. So that was it, just my comment.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Caloza. Well received, of course. And Ms. McGlinchey, anything further? Okay, that was Commissioner Davis's motion. I'll second it. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 1. Thank you, ma'am. Any issue sending number 1 forthwith? We will send number 1 forthwith. Agenda item number, Commissioner, excuse me for a moment. Commissioner Cabello.
Thank you, President James. Just a point of personal privilege, I would like to give a shout out to Corey over there celebrating Pride and the beautiful Pride flag she has draped around her. She's the daughter of our very own Public Affairs Officer, Elena Stern. Thank you for being here, Corey.
Corey, thanks for being here today and showing your pride. Thank you. Agenda item number 2, revised task order solicitation number 45. Gonzalez Goodell Architects Incorporated, Council District 14, recommending that the board authorize the city engineer to issue a revision of the task order solicitation number 45 to Gonzalez Goodell Architects Incorporated for additional construction administrative services for the Los Angeles Department of Transportation downtown bus maintenance facility project, increasing the budget authority from $195,284.25 to $403,243.70. That's more than doubling it. Mr. Sachs on number 2.
Yes, thank you very much again, Arnold Sachs, for the record, and thank you. You stole my line. It is more than doubling it. And does that include a contingency fee on top of that, maybe, for something unknown that might occur with the Department of Transportation? There's a winning agency. But yeah, you have another item on your agenda about opening up contracts or taking bids. How does bidding go for these contracts that you would be doubling a bid doubling a contract that was already bid on after the fact? I mean, it's like, well, we'll take you because you were the low ball bid, and then, you know what? Let's double it because we lied. Or no, you lied, or somebody lied. That's why we need that blue ribbon committee. That's why we need that accountability committee. That's why we don't need another oversight committee.
Thank you, Mr. Sachs. On agenda item number 2, Mr. Drucker, I think you're here on number 2. You can answer Mr. Sachs's question along the way. Go ahead.
Of course, you got it. Good morning, Commissioners. Neil Drucker, Bureau of Engineering. As President James indicated, this is a request from the Bureau of Engineering to increase the TOS task order for solicitation number 45 to Gonzalez Goodall Architects from the current $195,284,000 to $403,243.70 for the LADOT bus maintenance facility, the downtown bus maintenance facility. As you probably know, and I know a number of you were actually at the grand opening, the facility is in fact complete, and this is specifically for the scope of services for the architect. In December 2018, we came to your board for an increase of the TOS for this architect for some additional work that DOT had requested. And that included 70 additional bus parking spaces, a parking structure, electric vehicle charging capability for all 70 of those buses, as well as another series of electrical vehicle charging stations for the Motor Transportation Division at that same facility. So this was work that was requested of the consultant after the fact. At the time it was requested, we were about 80% complete. And December 2018, as I said, we are now currently complete. We did at that time issue an increase to the scope of services and to the TOS amount for the architect. However, our PM at the time, who's no longer with the Bureau of Engineering.
PM, you mean?
Project manager,
Yes,
I apologize.
go ahead.
Our PM, or project manager at the time, estimated the cost of services at under $100,000. When all was said and done, that was an underestimate on his part, and we believe that the amount that we're now requesting, which is an increase of about $207,000, is fair to the consultant. The consultant actually requested over $300,000 in their request. We have negotiated down to what we believe is a fair amount, $207,000. There was a lot of redesign that was required, especially for the electric service, to ensure that we could provide what DOT asked for. We had additional solar voltaic cells as well. In addition, during the course of excavation for the parking structure, we came across unforeseen conditions, specifically archaeological remains, that we had to work with the Native American tribes and our archaeological consultants to take care of, and that also cost some additional time and money, which extended the overall construction period for the project, which extended, therefore, the construction administration services that Gonzalez Goodall provided. Therefore, based on the above, we believe that it's a reasonable and fair recommendation, and do hope that you approve it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Drucker. I did have a question, but now I'm trying to remember where. We're done on this now after we approve this, correct?
That is correct. The project's 100% completed in construction. The consultant is preparing the final as-built drawings. Once those are submitted, we will be 100% complete with post-construction.
And you already said negotiated amount, so we got, obviously we found a place in the middle. They've agreed, we've agreed, and that's what you're presenting.
That's correct.
Okay. Commissioner Davis?
Yeah, I wanted to just be clear. In terms of when we first got the proposal, was it MTA who did not give us everything?
Actually, DOT. That's correct. Actually, things to some extent had changed. It obviously wasn't completely their fault. During the time period that we were in construction, the bus system changed from CNG, certified natural gas, to moving towards all electric, and we wanted to make sure that we were prepared for an electric fleet as well as the remaining CNG buses that existed. So that was really the biggest change, is to provide for electric vehicle charging stations and electric buses.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. No other questions. I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 2. Seconded by Commissioner Caloza. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 2. Any issue setting number 2 forthwith? We'll send number 2 forthwith. Thank you, Mr. Drucker. Number 3 was continued. Agenda item number 4, contract acceptance, erosion control for hillside damage. Fiscal year 18-19, recommending that the board accept the contract. On agenda item number 3, I don't have a card from, I'm sorry, on agenda item number 4, I don't have a card from Mr. Sachs. So on number 4, we have Mr. McReynolds. There you are.
Thank you, President James. Brett McReynolds, Bureau of Contract Administration. On November 9th, 2018, this contract was awarded on a competitive basis to Clark Construction Contracting, Inc., using the emergency on-call geotechnical list of contractors that was existing at that time. The project was awarded for $103,282 with a contingency for a total not to exceed budget of $124,677.89. Funding was through special gas tax funds. This contract is an annual contract that installs sandbags and erosion control devices citywide, and also asphalt curbs and cleanup at various locations. 7 change orders were issued, bringing the total cost of the project to 67.90% above the award amount. As I mentioned, it's an annual contract. These changes were due to scope changes, primarily due to the wet weather that we had during that season. The contract was issued using emergency on-call list, thus no specific MBWB levels were established, and the contractors complied with all the other EEO and labor compliance requirements. Work was completed on April 15, 2019, and there are no unresolved property complaints or disputed funds.
It was a fiscal year that we had the significant slide that closed Laurel Canyon Boulevard for about 10 days, correct?
Yes, it was. That was a fun year.
I remember it. Any questions? I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 4. Seconded by Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 4. Any issue sending it forthwith? We'll send number 4 forthwith. Requested contract acceptance, agenda item number 5 in Council District 1, Cazador Street Bulkhead Project. Mr. Sachs, you have a card in on number 5.
Yes, I do. Thank you again, Arnold Sachs for the record, Arnold Sachs. And the reason I didn't put a card in on number 4 is I ran out of ink. Number 5, are street closures posted for this item? Is there going to be any significant street closures for the neighborhood to know about? I remember you had street closures on a street in South LA, and the time of the street closures didn't actually line up with the time that you had put in your agenda item, because you had waived the early construction hours and the late construction hours, and something along the effect that essentially they were going to be supposed to be done with the project on a Friday, but the street was still going to be closed on the Friday. They're supposed to be done actually Thursday night, I would imagine, unless they got there at 5 o'clock in the morning and worked another hour on Friday morning. But essentially the street would have been closed on Friday and they wouldn't have been doing any work. So I was just wondering, is there street closures posted and the hours that it would occur, and so the public is aware of this? Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McReynolds will let us know. I'm sure that it was completed on November 5th, 2018, so we don't have the closure issue currently. Mr. McReynolds on number 5.
Yes, Brett McReynolds, Bureau of Contract Administration. No, the project is complete, so we don't have closure issues. On March 27, 2018, this contract was awarded on a competitive basis to John S. Meek using the emergency on-call geotechnical list of contractors that was in place at that time. The project was awarded for $247,675 with a contingency and a not to exceed budget amount of $277,728. Funding was through Measure M local funds. The contract repaired Cazador Street, which is in Glassell Park area. It was a street that had some issues, subsidence issues, and then also this bulkhead supported that portion of the street and included street repair. One change order was issued, bringing the total cost of the project to $214,463.59, which is 13.41% below the award amount, and that was due to deductions we made in the differing site conditions line items. The contract was issued using the geotechnical list, thus no specific MBWB levels were established or required, and the contractors comply with all other EEO and labor compliance requirements. Work was completed on November 5th, 2018, and there are no unresolved property complaints or disputed funds.
Thank you, Mr. McReynolds. Any questions? I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 5, seconded by Commissioners Davis and Coloza. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 5. Any issue sending number 5 forthwith? We'll send number 5 forthwith. That takes us to number 7, authority for expenditure. Sun Valley Paper Stock Incorporated. Sanitation and the Office of Accounting are requesting board approval and execution of an authority for expenditure in the amount of $151,375.49. This is to pay Sun Valley Paper Stock Incorporated for processing and marketing of residential blue bin materials collected from the East Valley East Valley Waste Shed for the limited period of July 6, 2018 through November 16, 2018. The East Valley Waste Shed generated during this period approximately 220 tons per day, and of that, Sun Valley Paper Stock processed 25 to 45 tons per day during the service period. Mr. Sachs on number 7.
Yes, thank you again. For the record, Arnold Sachs, and I won't have to go to the gym today. Yeah, I got a couple of questions about this one. It's another one of these deals, and I appreciate you throwing these out here so I can bat around the park. This is a 4-month, it's not a 5-month contract. It comes to about $30,000 a month. This waste shed, you better say that slowly, is this a franchise area for this particular company? And when you say that they're collecting 220 tons per day, is that every day of the week, 5 days a week? And they're only processing, let's say, average of 35 tons a day that they collect this 220. So that leaves 185 tons, thereabouts, of what? Waste? So again, what happens to that waste? Who processes the waste? Where is that dumped? Lots of questions about this. It'd be interesting to find out some of these things. And oh, by the way, since this might be a franchised trash pickup or trash picking up company, is this $151,000 an additional fee that they're being paid in addition to the franchise fees that they're collecting from the people that they pick up trash from? Does that make sense? Yes, it does.
Thank you, Mr. Sachs. Ms. Romano. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, President James, Commissioner Cabellos, Davis, Garcia, and Galoza, Bureau Representative, City Attorney, and Executive Officer. Rowena Romano, Senior Environmental Engineer with LA Sanitation and Environment. We are here to request the authority for expenditure in the amount of $151,375.49 for Sun Valley Paper Stock for the processing and marketing of the blue bin materials that they did for us from July to November 2018. So to answer Mr. Sachs' questions, this is not a franchise area. This is part of our residential curbside collection services that we do. We do collect about 200 to 220 tons per day from the East Valley Waste Shed of recyclable blue bin material. During this time, we did have our processor, Athens Services, Inc., which is also situated in the East Valley area, that was processing the material for us. However, they ran into some processing capacity issues. So we reached out to Sun Valley Paper Stock for some time, for this period of time, to take any of the remaining material that was left over so that we wouldn't have to landfill that material. So as mentioned, SVPS began receiving the material on July 6, 2018 up to November 16, 2018, when Athens was able to resolve their capacity issues, and we just continued on with Athens. So LA San is also currently developing a new request for proposals so that we can have new contracts in place for the residential blue bin material for the curbside collection, and we will be evaluating those proposals and awarding new contracts hopefully in the next 2 or 3 years. So there is no impact in the general fund on this. AFE is funded through the solid waste revenue fund.
Thank you, Ms. Romano. Great explanation on what's going on here and answering the questions. Appreciate it. Any questions? Commissioner Davis and Commissioner Cabello have made a motion that we adopt agenda item number 7. I'll second. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 7. Any issue sending 7 forthwith? We'll send 7 forthwith. Number 8, Council District 1, it says, maybe, but it's an authorization to open bids. Recommending that the board authorize the executive officer or assistant executive officer to receive, open, and declare bids to be received at 10 a.m. on Wednesday, June 26, 2019, and to formally report on the results of the bid opening at the Board of Public Works meeting scheduled for 10 a.m. on Friday, June 28, 2019. This is because on Wednesday evening, we will be hosting our Board of Public Works meeting off-site, and we do it in the evening. We do it in the evening because we go out to the communities, so we come to them. That way they don't have to come to us. And we do it kind of quarterly. And so when that happens on a Wednesday, we still want to be able to open our bids on time, as contractors count on that. And thus we have this special session, if you will, that we've done for a number of years. Dr. Campos will explain further, but before that, Mr. Sachs has a card on number 8.
Yes, thank you again, Arnold Sachs, for the record. Yeah, question about the bidding here. Because I was going to ask bids on what? I was going to say maybe bridge. But you heard earlier about the work done at the DOT offices of the LA DOT, that the additional work that was needed, 70 buses. So you have to wonder, thinking, well, if 70 buses they have to do for the charging stations because they're going from CNG to electric, how many buses were they originally bid on? I mean, how big a facility is this? How many dash buses are at this particular facility that they would have an additional 70 buses? And are other departments, we've heard a few times with some of the bids here that other departments might want to put in a change or might delay the process once it's bid on, that will drive up the cost. How are other departments made aware of these bids that go out so that they can get their ducks in a row? I don't think that's happening. But just nevertheless, you might as well ask, because if it's not happening before, you might want to make people aware that it should be happening in the future so that things can operate a little bit more smoothly in the city. And it's not like you're riding on Wilshire Boulevard by where they're doing, or even better yet, Crenshaw Boulevard, where they're putting in the Crenshaw line, and there's more bumps than the lunar landscape.
Dr. Campos on agenda item number 8.
Thank you, President James. Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. The item before this board today is requesting authority to allow myself or the Assistant Executive Officer to open, read, and declare the bids that are scheduled to come into this board on Wednesday of this week, on the 26th. As President James indicated, on occasion we do go out on the road and provide our board meetings to the general public. Typically happens on a quarterly basis. To the extent possible, we try to coordinate and make sure that we do not have any conflicts with any items that are pre-scheduled on the board. However, sometimes with schedules, it becomes really difficult to clear out the desk for that one specific date. This has happened in the past, so those commissioners that are new to the board, basically this authority allows me to open up the bids. Then on Friday, October 28th, I would come back to the board, read those bids into the record, and allow you to hear those records and the lowest bidder at that time. So with that said, this motion is to authorize the delegation of authority to allow me to open, declare, and read those bids.
Okay. I think I know the answer to this. Mr. Jordan, Dr. Campos, what time is our meeting on Wednesday? 5:30?
5:30 p.m.
Brown Act notice, correct?
Correct.
So we don't have much wiggle room there, do we, Mr. Jordan? The reason I'm asking is Wednesday evening is also the first night of the presidential debates. A lot of people will be paying attention to that and less inclined to come see us, possibly, although not entirely. Do we have any wiggle room on our start time?
Well, under the Brown Act, we can't start early, but if
We can
the board
start.
were to start later, you could, or the commission could cancel the meeting. But what you can't do is have the meeting at a different location or start it any earlier than we've agendized it. Unless, of course, you wish to repost the agenda and operate as a special meeting, which then allows the commission to notice the meeting 24 hours in advance. Technically, it's already a special meeting because it's not at your regular meeting.
Right, it's already a special meeting.
If this,
No, that's okay, I'm done.
Go ahead.
Fernando Campos, the Executive Officer. If this board wanted to advance or accelerate the start time, we can definitely issue a special agenda, as Mr. Jordan has indicated. Since there is no voting items on that meeting, there technically doesn't have to be a quorum, per se, to start the meeting. So we can definitely move that up if you'd like. Or cancel.
Yeah, or cancel. Yeah, and we're in CD9. Are we working with Councilman Price's office?
Councilman Price's office, CD9, the meeting is scheduled to be at the Expo Center.
Commissioner Cabello?
Thank you, President James. Maybe we can go ahead and approve this item of authorization to open bids and have this discussion further after the meeting to figure out what we'd like to.
What we should do.
What our options are.
Good idea. So let's go ahead and give you the authority in case we need to keep it and you have that option, then we'll deal with this afterwards. So that'll be Commissioner Cabello's motion on agenda item number 8, seconded by Commissioner Garcia. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 8. Any issue sending number 8 forthwith? We will send number 8 forthwith. Agenda item number 9, authority for expenditure, American Restore. Sanitation and the Office of Accounting requesting board approval and execution of an authority for expenditure in the amount of $32,568 payable to American Restore for installation of 240 square foot, 1 to 1.5 inches minimum thickness EcoFloor 404 topping system to restore a portion of the existing tipping floor at the Central Los Angeles Recycling and Transfer Station. That's the Clark's station. Obviously, some work needed to be done there. I don't have a card on number 9, so we'll go to Mr. Hamilton on number 9.
Good morning.
Good morning.
John Hamilton, Bureau of Sanitation. So this is for a EcoFloor patch that we're installing at Clark's. And this picture that I handed out, I found this morning. This is what happened 11 years ago in its exact same location where we want to apply this patch. So this is a high wear zone, and you can see that this was a loader that fell into a hole that was worn out as they're pushing refuse through this port on the left-hand part of the picture. And on the other picture there, the second picture, is the wheel going through into a tunnel which runs underneath the Clark's. So I thought this represented the necessity of the patch.
Got it. And
Point well taken. Point well taken.
the way that we acquired American Restore, did we already work with them? What's the procurement process here?
So they're essentially a sole source. They're the only company that has this type of material, which seems to wear at an eighth the rate of the other materials that we found. And we are going out with an RFP where we'll be able to have possibly bring in some other people. But to our knowledge, this is the only company that's able to produce this product. They have a certification product that they go through, or a process that they go through with local contractors that they need to be certified to be able to apply this type of topping. And they're the only distributor of this topping, to our knowledge, at this time.
Okay. And your timing on the RFP would be?
Within the next 6 months, hopefully.
Okay. Mr. Jordan, on the sole source for American Restore, we've at least got it on the oral record. It may be elsewhere, but if it is, I missed it. But are you okay with it?
Yes, I concur in the recommendation. It is, in fact, in the letter.
In the letter of agreement?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you. It's covered in the oral and written record. Then I'll make a motion on agenda item number 9, seconded by Commissioner Cabello and Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 9. Thank you, sir. Any issue sending number 9 forthwith? We will send number 9 forthwith. Agenda item number 10, monthly status of contracts expiring within 90 days. This was continued from a couple of weeks ago. Ms. Kuroki from Sanitation.
Good morning, Commissioners, Bureau Rep, City Attorney, Executive Officer. My name is Sherry Kuroki. I'm with Sanitation. I'd like to take the opportunity first to introduce Nancy Lanton. Come up here, Nancy. Nancy Lanton is actually the new Senior Management Analyst, too, who will actually be taking over the contracts unit. So as I transition her, well, actually, after I transition her, you'll actually be seeing her up here giving the monthly and quarterly contract status reports. But I'll be up here giving the quarterly contract status report in July. But after that, it'll be all Nancy at the commissioner briefings as well.
Nice to meet you. Thank you. Go ahead, Sharon.
Okay, so the monthly for June, we have 32 contracts expiring within the next 120 days. 27 will be renewed. These are basically the same ones you heard in the last monthly report I gave here at board. ERI for e-waste collection and recycling service, that one expired in already June 2nd. And we'll be exercising a 3-year renewal option containing that contract. That was adopted by board in April. 24 on-call contracts. For wastewater, stormwater, and solid resources programs, we'll be exercising the 5-year renewal option containing that contract. The board report is currently under ConAd review. RNG Fanuki Farms expires July 25th. That's for the Green Acres Farm operation. LA San will be exercising a 3-year renewal option containing that contract. And that the board adopted that board report last month, May 22nd. And then Waste Management El Sobrante expires September 11th. That's for disposal services for residual municipal solid waste in the city of LA. And LA San will be amending that contract as well as exercising a 5-year renewal option containing that contract. And the board report is under final review and approval by ConAd and will be scheduled for board after the July 4th holiday. 5 contracts won't be renewed. First one is National Plant Services. That actually already expired June 4th. LA San will be executing new contracts with selected proposers from the RFP process. Second one not to be renewed is AECOM. That's actually the second AECOM contract on that list of 25, so we don't need 2 contracts with them. Sims Recycling Solutions, that was a backup contractor for e-waste collection. We never used that contractor, and therefore we won't be renewing that contract. CR&Rs for organic material processing, and LA San is drafting a new RFP for those services. And then finally, ABB for control system support. And with the implementation of our new wastewater control system replacement project, that contractor is no longer needed. That's it. Any questions?
Thank you, Sherry. Any questions? I think you answered the ones I had already. Thank you. So we'll move to engineering. Bob Nielsen. Oh, your microphone could be turned on there, Mr. Nielsen. There we go.
The status report for the item that was continued from May 31st is there are no personal service contracts that will be expiring between June 1st, 2019 and August 31st, 2019.
All right, well, that was easy. Thank you, sir.
And with Kagan, I was also advised that there was another one, the status report in between from June 30th. And that one has 8 items. Do you have that?
I've got
in
it.
front of
Go
you?
ahead.
Okay. These pre-qualified on-call contracts provide architectural as-needed services for the various public works projects. A board report is being prepared to request term extension for all contracts in this group. That was
all 8 of them?
All 8. That was from items 1 through 8. And then for item number 9, this contract provides for the Animal Department of Services operations. 1 task, TOS 2, for North Central Animal Services Center still remains to be completed. Therefore, a board report is being prepared to request contract term extension on that item number 9.
Okay. Any questions on that? Thank you, sir. That takes us to Streets LA, Monica Frierson. Did I say your last name correctly?
Frierson. You got it right.
I did. Great. Good to see you, Monica.
Yeah, thank you. Good morning. I am Monica Frierson, and I'm representing the Bureau of Street Services. Today, as of today, we have 4 contracts that are going to be expiring within the next 90 days. One of the contracts is for traffic freeway off-ramp closure services, and that one expires in September 24th of this year. And we have another contract, a recycling and disposal of mixed inert waste, debris, white goods, material, and bulky items. That is another contract that's going to be expiring. We currently have 3 vendors that are sharing that contract, so that will also be going out to bid probably in July. And that's all I have to report.
Thank you. Any questions for Streets LA? All right. Thank you, ma'am. The oral report will be received on agenda item number 10, which takes us to number 11, our city trees from Streets LA. One moment, Mr. Tyson, we have a card on number 11. Mr. Sachs on number 11? Does he have over 2 minutes left? Okay.
Yes, thank you again. For the record, Arnold Sachs. This mentions Bureau of Street Services. Should it not be Streets LA, Urban Forestry Division, as you have in item number 3? Anybody ever see the movie Up the Down Staircase? I'll let everybody figure that one out.
Thank you, Mr. Sachs. Mr. Tyson? It looks like you're going to, we've got your team here, but go ahead, sir. Welcome back.
Thank you. President James, Commissioners, City Attorney, Executive Officer, and Bureau Representatives, Tim Tyson, Bureau of Streets LA, Urban Forestry Division. Well, we've done really well this fiscal year with the goals that we set for ourselves with the current budget that we were given for the different tree trimming crews.
Yeah, your report's timely. We're at the end of the year, Sunday.
Yes. So we had a goal of 1,600 tree removals, dead trees and stumps, and the UFD, Urban Forestry Division, engaged in removing dead, dying, and diseased trees and stumps prevalent through citywide from March 1st to present. Removed 489 trees at be May to now. I actually had this report done the first week of June, so then I had to redo the report. Maybe we could get them at the end of the fiscal year in the future so that then I can really report on a solid quarter.
We can do whatever's easier for you and your team, Tim.
Yeah,
we can schedule it accordingly.
I think that I'm always like right at the cusp of 2 months into the quarter, and then I don't have the full numbers. And so anyway, I had to change a little bit.
Feel free to hold off on us if you can give us more comprehensive data by waiting.
No worries. The UFD is continuing to hire and acquire needed equipment for this endeavor. We have hired most of the people for the tree trimming crews, and thus we had a goal of 25,000 trees to be trimmed, and right now we've trimmed 27,144 trees, which by the end of the week will be a few more. The trees and stumps that we said we would do 1,600, which was the goal. We've removed 1,982 trees, and we've removed 1,813 stumps. So we've done well there, as that was the primary hiring was for those crews, and then when we got to the planting crews, that was held a little bit lastly because we wanted to staff the tree trimming crews first. And so with our planting, we just exceeded our 400th tree this week that we've planted. But for some reason, with all the nonprofits and all the city partners, this year, the number of trees planted was substantially lower than the previous years. 2,800 trees planted this year with everyone included. The last couple of years, we were somewhere in the realm of 4,500 to 4,700 trees. So due to some key positions in city plants and LACC, it kind of slowed down there, and I think that this next fiscal year it's going to pick up because we'll have a full crew to start planting and surpass our goal of 1,000 trees this next fiscal year. For this fiscal year, it would have been 500 trees due to the 6-month budget that we got for the tree planting crew, but it takes a long time to hire, and we wanted to hire the tree trimming and get that going. We couldn't spread them too thin everywhere, so we only planted 400 trees. We're a little short of the 500. But just also to say one more thing, we only have another 150 trees in the nursery. So that was a really big deal. Exactly. This was a really big deal
We had 2,000 at one point.
To get all the trees out of the nursery, get them planted, because we're not getting more trees. All the trees in the future will be purchased and then planted, as they'll have planting places for them to go from the nursery where they're purchased to a holding to get planted. They won't be sitting in our so-called nursery, which it really isn't, waiting to be planted for 4 or 5 years. So all these things have better helped the ability to plant, and then next fiscal year we'll be working on the in lieu fee planting.
We call that the tree replacement fee. Yeah, I don't like the in lieu fee word.
Yeah, I didn't say fee, I said in lieu planting. Anyway, so that'll be taking place, and we've put together a planting plan to get it started. But we want to work with all the planting partners as well and do the under canopy covered areas strategically. And when I get to the grant, I'm going to talk about that and what happened there, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about planting then.
Before you move to that, let me just, since the oral record has a spot in it now on the term in lieu fee, and I saw at least one glance up from the audience on it. I think the word in lieu is deceiving because, and it's our own fault. I mean, we're the ones who came up with it. And mistakenly so, and it left some confusion in the community. People thought that developers that were building projects could simply pay a fee to the city instead of planting replacement trees, thus the words in lieu. And that's not what the fee is for. The reason it is more appropriately called a tree replacement fee is because, yes, we're giving a developer the choice. If you don't have space on site for a replacement tree, you can, to put it in yourself, you can pay the city the tree replacement fee, and the city will provide the replacement tree in an adjacent location or a location in the city that is canopy challenged. And that's the purpose of the tree replacement fee. The word in lieu means you're paying money instead of putting in a replacement tree, which is not happening. So that's why I wanted to move away from the words in lieu. Because we created that word, it was ingrained in our minds, and we used it out of habit. And then we learned quickly that we were making a mistake. So go ahead.
That's correct.
And then Commissioner Cabello.
Sorry, Mr. Tyson. Just wanted you to elaborate a little bit more about the tree planting number going down. You mentioned or referenced positions in city plans and LACC. Can you just elaborate on that further, please?
Well, I know that LACC lost Alex Valletta.
LA Conservation Corps.
Yes, LACC, Los Angeles Conservation Corps. And I don't know if that had, this is something that you would have to talk with city plants and the nonprofits about. I just know that our numbers added together are a lot less than what they were the year before by 1,500 to 1,700 trees.
Would you mind looking into that for me, and then maybe we can have a conversation offline? I'm just very curious about why it's such a dramatic reduction.
Absolutely, I'll do that, Commissioner. And also, when you speak about, we won't say it, but the tree replacement, it was really set up so that trees didn't die. That's what it was all about.
Two reasons. One, they didn't die. 3 reasons. One, they didn't die. We get them out of the nursery, and we get trees in canopy-challenged areas.
Correct. The main thing is they were complaining about the trees dying at the nursery, which, like just shared with you, we're down to 150 live trees in the nursery. So now we have to buy trees, and when we use that replacement money, we will actually be buying certain trees for certain areas, so we'll be getting the right kind of tree for the right place, where right now we're trying to find places for these diverse number of trees that are at our so-called nursery, which it's not either, because we have a variety of different trees and we don't have 100 of this or 50 of that. So we're painstakingly trying to find places for these trees to get planted, because we know once we start the replacement fee, which I said we have a plan, and I'll be getting with the executive officer on that, and also for our report to PWGR on the replacement fee soon. Contract tree trimming. The city is no longer intending on approving a budget for contract tree trimming due to the fact we are now the contractor, the primary contractor to trim the trees in-house.
All this stuff is great news, Tim. And the fact that you've got the nursery down to 150 trees, we've worked 5.5 years to do that. When we started, when our mayor started and this current Board of Public Works took office, we had no in-house tree trimming. It was all contracted out.
That's correct.
And now we've gone to where we wanted to be because there's accountability.
Correct.
And we get better work product. We're doing it in-house.
Yep.
So congratulations to you and your team, and to Adele and to the leadership team that preceded Adele and worked on this, and that is part of the current leadership team that's really taking us to a new level. So go ahead.
So as I was stating, I'm sorry.
Commissioner Garcia has a question.
Thank you, President James. I know I just want to add to the congratulations that President James just said. Congratulations, Tim. I know you've worked really hard on doing this. When I came about a year and a half ago, we were still contracting out a lot of it. And it was a notion of that we were not going to. So you were successfully able to do it within a year and something. So congratulations to you and your team very much.
Thank you. And Dr. Davis, as I told you, you asked me, Tim, what's the plan? I said next month. That month, in the middle of the month, we completed the tree trimming crews, had all of them hired. We've been working painstakingly, borrowing equipment throughout the division and bureau to get the equipment that we need. But that's all I'll say about that. So we do have a street light contract, however. And
we discussed that at
Yeah.
some length when they were
Yeah.
coming through.
And we're hoping that this fiscal year coming up, we have the streetlight contract. But maybe the following fiscal year, if we get 2 more crews and then 2 more crews, this will be a contract that then we can do in-house. So all these things are looking for a better future. In the beginning of the fiscal year 17-18, the Bureau executed 4 landscape maintenance contracts for all landscape medians. The landscape contractor has been performing work satisfactory, and the Bureau previously executed the first-year renewal policy for all 4 contracts. The second-year option and final year of this contract was approved, as you well know, a couple of weeks ago, and they are doing a great job. We have had no complaints once we've had these contractors involved, where before we had a really bad fiscal year with a previous contractor that you remember was
I remember well.
really horrible. Yeah. So that's been a benefit.
To eliminate those problems with what we've been able to do in-house.
Correct.
Yeah.
By hiring more in-house and creating more city jobs and more city family and bringing people in, we have better control. And we can ensure that things get done in a better manner, or we can move someone when we need to. We can't ask contractors to do this or do that because they sign a contract, this is what they do, and that's it. But with our own in-house, we get a storm, I can take everybody, and everybody's hands on deck doing emergencies. Thus, when I get to discussing our emergency response time, you'll understand why it's also important. So we're executed the new contracts for landscape, and that's going very, very well. Tech, Streets LA, Urban Forestry Division are working on revisions for the new updated Bureau website, which we've just launched. Or it's going to be launched, and it's all updated. It will be soon. All UFD field supervisors and inspectors are equipped with tablets. We previously met with Apple to discuss Apple products and how they can be used to assist Streets LA UFD in their day-to-day operations. And I'm going to talk a little bit about something else, and I'll bring tech back into that. The grant update. As you well know, we put in for a grant, and we were turned down. And somehow in the city's miraculously found $2 million for us to utilize for the inventory. And I'm glad to say that we are in our first meetings, not our first, but real solid meetings with collaboration with Rec and Parks and Davey Treekeeper. And we're going to be setting up these meetings, so we're hoping to have Rec and Parks and the Urban Forestry Division all in one Davey Treekeeper place where everybody can go and see all the park trees, all the city trees. Move over 620,000 trees in their sites that we had from our old urban forestry management system. and move forward and hopefully have a real true inventory in the next couple years or sooner completed.
All right, thank you, Tim. What, you have something else?
Not done yet.
Oh, okay, you're not done.
No, not yet.
Go ahead.
So,
You know, Adele's has approached.
oh no, I didn't feel
Mr.
him back there.
Hodgkhalil has
He's very
approached. So
quiet.
go ahead.
So with the sidewalk repair program, we continue to work on bids packages 8, 11, 12, and 13 and 14. So the stats for bid package 8 are 1,267 and 1,276. That's the sites. 18 trees were trimmed at 1,200 to 1,300 block of North Cherokee. You well know that. So we're still working on finalizing Cherokee. We're waiting for the trees to grow back and fill back in before we cut the roots. Therefore, not taking away all the food for the trees that they need so badly to resprout and gain better health before we cut the roots. Bid package 12 consists of 17 sites in which 13 have been completed. The remaining 4 sites to be completed this quarter require the following tree work. Site 1145 has 6 trees to be trimmed and root pruned, 1 live tree to be removed, 1 dry tree to be removed, and 4 replants. So at that site, you can see we saved 6 trees and only 2 trees are being removed, and one of them is actually dead. But I'll leave the rest of this alone, and it's just going over the different things with the sidewalk repair program. Access requests, 42 locations were inspected by UFD. Complete Streets Measure M project, Venice Boulevard from Arlington to Figueroa. 22 replants are pending. Temple Street from the 110 freeway to Beverly Boulevard also has 22 replants pending. Main Street from Martin Luther King to Imperial, 6 trees had to be removed. Scheduled for board review, that'll be coming. 244 trees to be trimmed and root pruned. So you could see 6 trees out of 250 trees will need to be removed and the rest are being saved. So when we're going back on our sidewalk repair program, we got to go all the way back to the very beginning when it started because we've changed the database and we have to update all of the work that took place so that then we can just push a button and we'll be able to tell the board how many trees for the whole since it started we have saved, how many have been removed and all that, but we have to go back because different venues were put in there and it changed everything before. So we're slowly doing that. I got one person working on that. It'll take a little while. But once that's completed, then we'll have it a new facelift on that website and we can go right in. We'll be able to come in, tell you better facts. It'll just be with a push of a button, but all the information has to be changed and the new information input. So that concludes my report unless you have any questions.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Hodgkhalil, you have approached the podium. Let me just say real quick for Adela, you can wrap up. Thank you to you, all of you and your team. You are living up to the term that we coined this year at the Board of Public Works under the leadership of Commissioner Cabello, the year of the tree. And it may extend, and I was telling folks over the weekend, the environmentalists, leaders in the enviro community that are happy with us, but still want to see more. I told them the year of the tree will continue into 2020. But this is the first time I think we've heard from you all since the successful tree summit that you all came up with and worked with us in the mayor's office on under their direction, and thank you for that. Adele, go ahead.
I think you said exactly what I was going to say. It started with the hearing you had at the board back in January, and we really, the staff that we have in Urban Forestry Division has for many years struggled with their identity. And I think we've unleashed them to become the protectors, the advocates of trees, and I'm very proud of each one of them, including Tim. Tim is very low-key, but I think he celebrates the great things you have done, you and Hector and many of the staff. They're working really hard to take care of the urban forest, and I know how important this is. So I want to really echo the amount of hard work and commitment they have and how they feel that they have now a responsibility that they value, because that's what deep in their heart, they want to protect trees and take care of trees as protectors of trees. The good news is, with the hard work that we've done this year, all of us together with the board, council, the mayor, through the budget process, it reflected that. What we have in the budget, I know many of the community members were asking me as to, we didn't see anything for trees, and I have to really echo the amount of support we got for trees. So I want to make sure I say it publicly here so it's heard. With the help of the mayor, the council, and support of the board, we were able to add 2 crews, trimming crews, and the commitment at committee, at the Budget and Finance Committee, is to have a plan to triple our trimming crews over 5 years, from 5 to 15, and add 2 crews a year over the next 5 years. And the goal is to get to a trimming cycle of 7 years. That's the commitment, and that's what we have, and we have the support by the council and the mayor to have that as part of the budget process. So we have 2 crews that were added. We have 2 watering crews that were added for adding to the planting and watering the planting of the trees that we're adding. Plus, the biggest thing is the $2 million we received to help us with the inventory, with the data management of trees, and the urban forest plan. That's critical for us, and we're moving forward as we heard from Tim, and that's going to be exciting to be able to build on what we have, provide the staff the tools to manage, plus have publicly facing information that people can see what's out there. So we're working very hard on getting that in place. I know Greg is not here, but he's working really hard with Tim, Hector, and many others, and we're trying to really start putting ourselves in the 21st century and having the data available. The website for Streets LA is online, has been launched, and the first thing you see is a dashboard that's publicly facing, that tells everybody, the public, how much we've done, what's our goal, and where we are. And you can see for the trees, the goal was 25,000 trees to be trimmed. We're approaching 27,000 or more, exceeding that, hopefully, by the end of the year. It shows the emergencies and how quick we responded to emergencies. So the commitment of the mayor to provide transparency is in our genes now. We have it in the website. It's information that can be used by anyone. And hopefully, over time, you'll see more maps, more data on where we're paving streets, where we're planting trees, and where are the trees in the city. So I'm very proud of the staff. Thank you for your support as a board, Commissioner James, Commissioner Cabello, and every board member, and the mayor and council for your support and belief, and finally for the community to really give us a chance to show that we are the urban forestry, we are the protectors and the advocates for trees. So I'm very proud of the staff, proud of the work we've done, and many more to be done. And I agree, every year is a year of the tree for me. So thank you.
No, and just a shout out to single out a couple of, in addition to our mayor on this issue, has been so helpful to us. But 3 council members I can think of that have been significant this year. Councilmember Rube, Councilmember Krikorian, and Councilmember Blumenfield have really been instrumental in helping us this year. So we appreciate that. Thank you. The oral report will be received. Thank you all. And our final agenda item this morning, agenda item number 12, update on the Pacific Sewer Maintenance Corporation contract relative to sewer chemical root control. From sanitation, Mr. Mink.
Hi, good morning.
Hi.
Clint Mink with LA Sanitation, Clean Water North Collection Division. As requested, I'm here today to clarify how Pacific Sewer Maintenance Corporation was selected for the sewer chemical root control contract. In the city of Los Angeles, approximately 60% of sanitary sewer overflows can be attributed to root intrusion. In addition to regularly cleaning the sewer lines, regularly scheduled chemical root control treatment plays a significant role in reducing and managing the number of root-related spills. Since this program was implemented in the year 2002, we have seen an 86% reduction in root-related sewer spills. The main RFP process began on May 29, 2018, when a request for proposals was posted on the Los Angeles Business Assistant Virtual Network website, also known as LA Bavin, the city was seeking qualified and licensed applicators to perform chemical root control treatment using metam sodium and diclobinol foam product, which together are a contact herbicide and a regrowth inhibitor. There are various formulations available, but this mixture was chosen for its record of effectiveness in the city's sewer system. It's approved by the state of California and has had no reported adverse effects on our water reclamation plants for the 13 years that we've been using it. Application of this mixture is not sole source. It can be performed by companies that are licensed, qualified, and properly equipped to apply it. Few companies meet this criteria, but multiple proposers were expected to respond. This opportunity was viewed by 28 registered users on LA Bavin, and of the 28 users, or 28 viewers, 2 attended our pre-proposal meeting on June 19, 2018. The 2 companies in attendance were Duke's Root Control and Pacific Sewer Maintenance Corporation. For this opportunity, proposers were required to comply with the Business Inclusion Program requirement, and sanitation set participation levels at 2% for MBE, WBE, SBE, EBE, and DVBE in order to encourage subcontractor participation. Because root control is specialized and of limited scope, this requirement was waived in the past. Pacific Sewer Maintenance pledged participation levels of 8.95% OBE and 0.84% WBE. They were the only company to submit a proposal by the due date July 10, 2018, and this proposal was deemed responsive to the RFP criteria. They're experienced, licensed by the State of California Department of Pesticide Regulation, and offer the chemical mixture that was specified in the RFP. Their proposal was evaluated by 3 reviewers, as we would normally do, and received an average score of 86.8%. The evaluation was based on their record of past performance, operational proposal, and the cost. As the only responsive and qualified proposer, Pacific Sewer Maintenance was selected to engage in this new contract with the city. With that said, we continue to evaluate new chemicals for cost effectiveness and effectiveness in controlling roots, and may adjust our specifications as needed for the next RFP cycle. This concludes my report, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Mink. Very helpful. The data speaks for itself. When you look at on the back page the number of discharges and the starting year of the root control program, and you see progress every single year, demonstrates the value of what we're doing. Thank you for the details on the process.
Yes.
Any questions? The oral report will be received. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it. Mr. Sachs, you have general public comment. Dr. Campos, we've cleared the desk other than that and my adjourning motion, correct?
And closing of the neighborhood council commentary as well.
Right, we'll close that. Go ahead, Mr. Sachs, on general public comment.
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon. Arnold Sachs, for the record. It is afternoon. It's 12:02. Few things. Congratulations on your presentation this morning. I believe they had a luncheon last week. It was fascinating. I happened to stop in there. There wasn't anybody from City Council honoring the gay, lesbian organization that you had, except for Councilman Koretz was there. Just to show you, there was another luncheon on Friday. Councilman Marquise Dawson had a luncheon for the Caribbean population, and except for the cooks and the people that were entertaining, or the people that donated the food and the entertainment, everybody else there was pretty much from the City Council, from the offices here in City Hall. Big attendance by Mr. Dawson's presentation. I went upstairs this morning they had a meeting for civic youth, and I happened to pick up some information, and they have a book there that says civic youth like this, and on the back it says elevator pitches. And I thought, City Council button in their elevator was stuck on stupid. I also went to a meeting last week for Metro, and I mentioned to them that they ought to do something about all the pigeons that are flying around, no pun intended this time, Union Station or the Patsaurus Terminal. And I found my answer this morning. There was a police car parked out in front, and it looks like every pigeon in L.A. Paid a visit. They need a hazmat suit for their hazmat suit. And then I also, on Sunday, I took a bus. I was going to go towards the beach, and I ended up going the wrong way. On 720, I went downtown.
2 minutes.
And I was thinking bridge housing, underpass housing, raft, not graft housing, but they ought to do rafts at Hyperion Bay. It would put new meaning into oceanfront property, something along that line.
Thank you, Mr. Sachs. So, a couple of items. We need, Mr. Jordan, are we able to, at some point we need to decide what we're doing about Wednesday evening. We are legally able to do that outside of a Brown Act environment, correct?
Yeah, the board can determine when the next meeting would be set or what the location, time, and details. Yes.
Okay. So at some point, colleagues, we need to have that discussion soon so we can let people know. And then, do we want to do that now, or do we want to do it? We can. Okay. So we got the five of us here. We think we should reschedule it. And my only concern is with the council office. Dr. Campos, you've been dealing with the council office. Is that going to? Would your anticipation be that would be okay with them?
Working with council offices in general, we can always reschedule. Getting a new date is the difficulty, so it'll probably be sometime in August.
Okay.
Possibly
Well, just let them know, because I know the council office too would prefer to have people at the meeting. And I just, everybody here feels like we didn't pick the best night. We didn't know, frankly. They hadn't scheduled the debate yet when we picked our night. So it is what it is.
So we can reschedule to a date.
We're going to reschedule to a date to be determined for Wednesday evening. But we don't have an agenda item out for Wednesday morning, so Wednesday morning will be opening of city contracts. Opening of city bids.
What I can do is I can issue a special agenda for the bid opening, which will occur on Wednesday. The motion that's before you authorizes me to open it. I'll open it as normal. The board can meet at 10 o'clock and have a quorum if you'd like, or if this board prefers, I can go ahead and open it and report back on Friday.
If we're here, we'll come in and have a quorum.
For one item.
Yeah. Okay. If we've got three, we will. If not, you can do it your own.
We have one item.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I have an adjourning motion. We've cleared the desk other than that, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Colleagues, my friend Steve Cochran passed away on April 2nd, 2019, quietly and comfortably at home with classical music that he loved playing in the background. He was surrounded by loving friends and family. He was graceful, generous, handsome, alert, and hopeful to the end. Steve had an ever-present smile who always left a smile on the face of those he encountered. He was born in Fort Smith, Arkansas, and grew up in Little Rock, Arkansas. His father, Hal, owned and ran a furniture store, played piano, and ran unsuccessfully for Congress. Steve's mother, Wanda, was very involved in philanthropic organizations and was most passionate about the Arkansas Symphony. Steve was very close to his grandparents, who were both professors at the University of Arkansas. In 1926, his grandmother was one of only 2 women who graduated from the university that year. Steve graduated from Duke in 1981, where he studied history and economics. He played slide trombone and was in the band and the marching band at Duke, which allowed him to travel to other schools with the basketball team for away games. Stephen was a talented musician who learned how to play the piano and cello as a child and a harpsichord as an adult. After college, Stephen went into sales for the design industry in New York City. He sold commercial carpet for 10 years for Bentley Carpet Mills, an industry leader for luxury high-end carpets. After relocating to Los Angeles in 1998, Stephen became an art and furnishings consultant for personal clients, focusing on finding treasures at real estate sales, or I should say at estate sales. He was an avid collector, and he told sometimes the funniest, most amazing stories about these items that he would find at these estate sales that just were you couldn't believe. Stephen met his husband, also my good friend Dan Klivner, in New York in 1990. They were together for almost 29 years. On April 25th, 2014, they were married by Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti in his office at City Hall. The mayor is friends with both of them. As an LGBT community leader, both Steve and Dan were what they would consider accidental ambassadors and good role models for those that they had never been close to or known simply by being themselves. Stephen was very involved in civic and charitable activities. He was a board member of the Wallace Annenberg Center for the Performing Arts and chair of the education committee there. He was a faithful supporter of Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, the Maestro Foundation, and the LA Philharmonic, where he was a member of the Board of Overseers. He also served for 10 years on the board and architectural committee of the Sunset Doheny Homes Association. Stephen is survived by his husband, Dan Klivner of Los Angeles. He's also survived by his two brothers, Joe and David, his sister, Kathy Ann Cochran, and many nieces and nephews. We will miss Stephen, and we are adjourned in his honor.